welcome back to another episode of the Autonomy Pods podcast. It is just a solo episode from me today, and we're just going to run through a little bit of what has been going on in the world of autonomy, the life of Nathan, over the last couple of months since we did the last solo episode. I think the last solo episode where I talked personally about what was going on with myself and autonomy was the birthday episode where I went through my 29 years of reflection, or my 29th year of reflection, and how that was working for me. So it is now a couple of months on from that, and we are still, doing really, really well. Now, we have some new team members, which is so nice to see. We've got the tried and tested the boys that will be here for the rest of their lives, Declan and Tim, who were with me since January this year. So they're coming up to nearly a year within the autonomy business, and they're doing incredible on their own and their own coaching business, but equally are doing very, very well for us as well. And we have such a strong knit team as well, friendship, but also, we are great at being a professional as well. Outside of that, we've got a new inclusion to the team, which is Teddy. Teddy's, a dad in Singapore. He's a big boy. He's a bodybuilder. He is one of these guys that is very, very caring about his clients. He just cares in general. He's a grinder. He's learned from prep on how to really work hard, and he's really taken to this online game. Before autonomy, he'd never done much online coaching before, maybe one or two clients, and now he's off for the races. I think he's finding his voice, he's finding his feet within the coaching process, and it's great to see. We like to expand the team, and also he's just fitted right in very, very quickly, which has been really awesome. He knows him from back in the day when him used to live in Singapore and Hong Kong. So he just fitted in like a glove, which was amazing. And then the next and last but not least, newest team member, which is Tom. You won't see anything about Tom. Maybe by the time this is out, you will do. But Tom has an interesting past with me. We worked together when we were 16 years old and he was 15. We were working together at a rugby stadium, the Widnes Rugby Stadium, serving pies and serving the functions together as our first ever job together. Now, it's so funny that now, 14 years later, he's now working for Autonomy and working with us to provide this outstanding service. When we were 15 together, working in that place, all we used to chat about was the gym. We used to just chat about lifting weights and going to the Kingsway Leisure Centre to try my creatine and get a super pump and try and bench press the 20s and then bicep curl the 10s, which was incredibly hard at that point because we were like very, very no muscle type of dudes. And we'd get super excited. And over the summer holidays, we'd train in the morning, then we'd come home and then we'd play Call of Duty for 7 hours. Then we'd go back to the gym again and we'd do 2 a days for like 4 months straight. And all we did was like try new pre-workouts, try loads of creatine. Like he's the guy, every PT has the story of one mate that you try loads of dumb shit with. And he was my guinea pig for a lot of different dumb shit. And he's still alive, so it wasn't too particularly that bad of dumb shit. But Thomas is recently, qualified as a personal trainer. He's been training since we trained together when we were 16, so that's coming over 14 years now. And always had an interest in health and fitness, and always had an interest in basically, I do a lot of coaching of coaches and a lot of like mentoring of these individuals that are providing online services to individuals. And when I was PTing, I was a mentor in every place that I've been into to multiple people, hiring people, firing people, educating people. And in all of those scenarios, you look for a few different things that really define individuals. And you define like the wanting, the learning, and the real passion and fire to burning in your stomach to like learn more about these individuals, or learn more about a new training program, or learn more about how to serve people better. And he was doing that even when he was working in the corporate world. He's a guy that would read articles, read things on the internet, study things, even when he didn't even have that as a financial goal or something that is going to bring him revenue back. It was just a complete passion for him. And that's what separates him, and that's what separates people who are in this industry that make success and make progress over time, is that genuine interest. So when me and Tom were sitting in an Indian restaurant in Liverpool a couple of months back, and we were speaking about the possibility of him coming on board and thinking even if it was possible, I knew it would be a fit. I knew it would work. I knew he'd be great. And it's going to be great because he has that fire in his belly to be able to do that thing and learn as he goes. So he currently works in finance, back in Widnes, and over time he will be transitioning to working online, and will be working with us for a long period of time. And that's the way I'd like to keep it, because a lot of these guys, or all these guys, are I'm considering my friend, and I think we do a very good job of balancing the friendship, but also the professional side of things. I know that majority of people don't make it work, or they don't work a lot of the time, but I feel like there is an element of which you can make it work by sorry, I just needed to change my my headphones over, and you could probably hear that in the background, couldn't you? Where you can make it work because you separate the personal and professional. And whilst only, I'm only 29 and run a business for a year and probably overconfident in my ability to crack this, I think we've got this blend, and we've got this ability to turn it on when we need to, and then also turn it off when we have the friendship time as well. So I'm really excited because all of these guys are close. We're all close together, and we're only going to build and grow together. And hopefully Tom will be one of the last people that we have on board. We're only going to keep a small team potentially, and by that point it'd be world domination by the time that those are all done and dusted, and I'm full and happy. So yeah, I'm really, really happy about this, and I really couldn't have asked for anything more from a team perspective. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I mean, a part of a lot of coaching processes, mentorships that are constantly firing their coaches, or hiring new ones, or getting bad hires, and they're having to deal with that. And I feel like, well, fingers crossed that this hasn't actually happened yet. So this is a godsend. At least one of the decisions that I got right after the years and years and years of hiring people in different jobs, and now it's my own business. I can actually hire them pretty well. So, and we keep it a close knit as well. So that's awesome from that side of things. And then from a personal side of things, we are 2 weeks away from having our Autonomy event in Dubai. In the UK. We're on the 12th of November. We're going to be having a in-person event in Harrow, where most of our clients are, and we are going to be celebrating the year that we've had, because we are literally just about a year old. I was, this time last year, instead of being in a coffee shop in Dubai and living in Dubai, I was in my mum's back bedroom building my business. I was broke is a very useful term definitely in this scenario. I was broke, didn't have any money. I was just about to buy a flat because I had saved up for the year, or saved up whilst COVID was happening, working for another business, and then I left that business and started with zero again. So it's been a very, very wild year, and to be able to celebrate that with, hopefully over 100 people at this event is going to be completely great. Not only do we get the coaches to meet each other, we get the clients to meet the coaches. It's just going to be great for them to meet each other. I think it's a super essential part of the process, in which if you're part of a service or you're part of something, having other people around you that do exactly the same thing is such a useful tactic to be able to help you keep the course and create culture and create environment. And it doesn't always come from the coaches. It has to come from the clients themselves wanting to reach out and be part of something. And hopefully we can have that. And I think the best way to do it is an in-person event. So we're going to do that, and that's going to be great. I'm going to be coming home for a couple of weeks. Not too long though. It'll be generally a 2-week stint back in the UK. I got to go and drive my baby. We're going to drive the C-Class a couple of days, keep it nice and warm, and give it some TLC. And outside of that, it'll be just spending time with the parents. Even though my mum's here in Dubai right now, it'll be spending time with my dad and the cousins potentially who I have. And then we'll be on that upward spiral to Christmas, which is always when the business really starts to kick into gear. A lot of people are very interested around the Christmas period, the New Year's resolutions, the knowing that they're going to get fat at Christmas, and then wanting to make sure that there's a way out of it afterwards so that they can justify their eating. And then that's where we come in. And we did a lot of business last year in December with a lot of people wanting to get set up. And we're going to do exactly the same again. So, last week I put up on the Facebook group that within our community is that we're going to be selling 15 golden tickets. These 15 golden tickets are going to be the only 15 slots that are available for our coaching for January, but we're going to be selling them in December, because we don't want people to kind of start on January at some point when they've made a decision around coaching on the 1st or the 2nd or 3rd of January, you want to kind of move into January with a big power hit. Everyone to be dieting, everyone to be looking after what they're eating, because December is normally overzealous. So therefore, you want to start exactly on that 1st of December. And what we find is that with our coaching process, we have a call at the beginning with our clients to set out their routine, manage a diary, make nutrition strategies, look at their targets of how much they want to lose and how long it's going to take them. And once we've got that, we need that to be able to make the plans. So whilst we want to get people up and running straight away, it always takes a few days to kind of make it so individualized and personalized, which is kind of our goal. We don't want to no cookie cutter approaches, no application form, then wow, here's your plan. Because reality is that how much can you really take from an application form? People need a conversation about what you got to do and what's struggling and what works with you. And having a human to human conversation is often missed within the online coaching realm. They don't work on a week to week basis, like in terms of like always having coaching calls, but they do work at the beginning of a process to really set things up and hear the client and see them face to face and build that rapport for the coach and the client. So we do that at the beginning, and what we're going to do is we're going to run that in December. So the 3rd week in December, we're going to do all of those calls, all of those individualized personalization programs, get everyone set up. So before they even eat a mince pie, they know exactly what they're going to be doing in January. So we've got that coming up, and that's going to be really exciting because we like to help people, and like this month has been one of those months where we've kicked more people out than that have left on their own terms. And that's a massive positive, and if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, this goal of ours to kick people out of the coaching process is the key fundamental to staying in shape long term. The reason why I say that is because ultimately, full responsibility and full accountability for yourself is the fundamental of self-autonomy. If you're relying on a coach to tell you off, or you're relying on external measures to get things done, then those things won't last over time unless you constantly find these external measures. So, I need a photo shoot to do a diet because I need that really high level goal. Okay, so what then happens after the photo shoot? How do you set another goal? You can't do another photo shoot because you don't want to diet. So how do you set that again? What are these pressures? And ultimately, having this internal drive to solve problems and fix things for yourself only is completed when you do not have a coach. For most people, the transition from knowing that they're going to be kicked out in 6 months' time is a turning point in their mindset to go, holy shit, Nathan, him, Deck, Teddy, Tom are not going to be there in 6 months. So I need to start acting like I don't need them, or I need to start acting like I'm responsible. And once they do that, you see this massive shift in mentality. There's no blame. There's no like, oh, I just don't have motivation. There's no, oh, I'm just going to wait till next week, or, oh no, I just didn't get stuff done. It flips people's mentality in an instant to go, hey, I'm responsible. And if I'm not responsible, then who else is? Because the goal of you staying in shape for life, or the goal of a client staying in shape for life, is the client's responsibility. And, for me to stay in shape for the rest of my life, I'm responsible. And what we don't want is where people go through a coaching process and they stay part of a coaching process as part of codependency. Codependency is that whole thing of like, I need you to function this way, or I need to buy a coach so that I can follow a diet, or I need to have a supplement to be able to go to the gym. You don't want to rely on anything that is nothing but yourself. So it's really, really critical that becomes that factor. But when we kick people out, that's exactly what happens. I've kicked, and when we say kick out, we literally celebrate the fact that they're leaving. And that we've left now, I think, 4 people in the last 2 weeks that have, accumulated over the last 9 to 12 months of effort and hard work, and got to the point where they've done dieting phases, they've done the maintenance phase of like 6 months, and they're at a point where, hey, Nate, we're good now. And you've ticked all the boxes, you've hit your criteria of different things. Great, fantastic, tick your boxes, and then off you go. And now they're in a position that they don't need us anymore. And for us, that's the most powerful thing out of all of this, because the goal is never just fat loss or staying in shape. The goal is control and complete responsibility, because that complete responsibility and that control will transcend into every other facet of your life. If things aren't going well in work, you've got the power to change something. If something from a mental side of things, you feel overwhelmed, you feel guilty, you feel shameful, you feel challenged, you feel stressed, you can do something about it. And this message of responsibility and this message of control takes away those factors, because once you really recognize that in most situations, and if not all, you have the power to control some variables, and you learn how to do that, then that stress that used to make you binge eat goes away. That stress that used to cause you to get super overwhelmed and be super frantic, it turns down the volume on it and it stops. So therefore, those things, because you can control them, because you can create certainty by your actions, they become powerful and they become everything that you need to control lots of different things. So that's why it's so important for us to make that change, and why it's so important for us to take that step away. And coaching services that just want to, the goal is retention. The goal is like long-term client retention. Keep them here for 2 years, keep them here for 3 years. We're not accepting anyone leaving in less than 9 months or 12 months. And it's like, well, what does the client want? What about the client in themselves? What are they getting from that, apart from, okay, cool, some people can stay in a coaching relationship for 2 and 3 years. Most people that do end up staying 2, 3 years, 4 years have a genuine love for training, and they generally want to go and strive towards goals like strength building goals, muscle building goals. They have like triathlons and strongman stuff. They're the things that people aim towards that are a long-term measure. But not everyone's like that. Not everyone has those longer-term goals. Some people are just happy going to classes, staying in shape, having a few glasses of wine at the weekend, and having a piece of cake. And that's okay. And they shouldn't be made to be funneled down the path of someone that is not them. So having a coach for 3 years, my question to people that do that is that, why haven't you taught them what they can do for themselves so that they don't need you again? Why do they need you for 3 years if they're not attaining these goals, like training goals? Because once you take training goals away, the reality is everything that you need to learn can be done in a shorter space of time. If you're attentive, if you practice, a trial and improvement, if you gauge what your goals are and what you really want from the process, you can get most things in under a year. And you can get the whole thing of never needing to track ever again. You can learn how to track. You can learn how to cook recipes. You can learn how to eyeball food. You can learn how to manage your sleep, stress, digestion, food sources, ingredients, micronutrients, fiber intake. You can learn all these things in a matter of weeks. And then you can practice the skills, which take a little bit longer. But no one should be like learning nutrition, the basics of nutrition, and take them 2 or 3 years to do so. If they're doing that, then they're either not learning enough, and that's okay. They just want to follow, which will work in the short term, but in the long term probably won't. But and then the other side is the coach is probably withholding this information because they feel like once they get this information, they will leave, and that's where that cycle comes in again. And it's really, really sad to see. I was part of a coaching process that, and my job before Autonomy was, how long can you keep the client for? Why are these clients leaving in 2 years? Why aren't you doing year 3 goals? Why aren't you, telling them that they need to stay longer? Why aren't you, mapping this out? Why aren't you pushing forwards for this? Why can't you get clients for 3 years, 4 years? We want them at 3 years or 4 years because that gives the business a better retention and da 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 da. And then you'd be forcing people down this square peg down a round hole mentality of like, they just don't need it. They just don't need to stay for 3 or 4 years. But it's the business that derives it, it's the goal of the business overtakes the goal of helping people. And then there's a disparity, especially for me and the other guys that used to work there. There was a disparity between the business needs came first and then the client needs came second. And then there was this disparity between, well, we need the business to do well, so therefore we're going to take a back seat on what the client needs. And that becomes, in my mind, I came in this industry to help people, and so that they could do this goal and do this fitness thing without ever needing a coach again. That was my biggest thing. And you speak to most coaches that I probably resonate with and I have a lot of to do with, most of the guys eventually say that they don't need my help long term. And that's the kind of message that we want to send. And you don't want to be part of the other thing because you end up being funneled down a square peg in a round hole for something that you actually probably don't need to do, because they'll give you a shiny object at the beginning and say, oh yeah, now you can chase this, or now you can do this, and it's like, well, you didn't want to do that in the first place. And sometimes that's beneficial for some people. It's like, go and try this and see if you enjoy it. That's great, you can do that. But constantly putting shiny objects in front of people so that they chase them is just blinding them from actually the fact of why they're doing it in the first place. And it's a business goal, not a client goal. So we tried to change that by kicking people out. So that was a bit of a rant, but hopefully that makes sense on that side of things. And from my side, Dubai is very, very good. We are now settled into a big routine here. We are ready to kind of next year probably do a little bit of traveling. There seems to be a nice festival on in Mexico, in the end of Mexico, that I'm going to get tickets for today. That's 7 days long, which is going to be mental, and that's going to be a nice little welcome break. So February will be the next time off, and I'm going to go hard. And after that, I don't know. There's a lot of people moving out to Dubai. There's a lot of people here already, and I'm building like a social circle. Like, if anyone knows me, you'll know that like I've really, really struggled with the loneliness side of things for a long time. And now actually the social events or the people here are quite in abundance, and that's been really, really nice. It just means that there's a lot more drinking, there's a lot more socializing, and my fucking finances are shot at because I keep going out for dinner, and it's like 60 quid a dinner always, because hummus and bread and then a main and a glass of champagne or something like that is about 60 quid. So it's great though, and I can't say anything bad about it. So we'll see what happens, because the more people are here, the more I want to stay here and build a life. We have set a nice little goal. So if anybody wants to hold me accountable to this, we've set a goal for my 30th. I know that in my 29th podcast, I was a bit gassed and I was like, I want to be a millionaire by 30, which is not going to happen. But the goal and the target of going there might actually drive me to do more, which would be awesome. And it definitely has since setting it. And I think there's a merit to setting these goals that are way outside your scope and going to see how, giving it a punt, seeing how close you can get to it. And definitely, if I wouldn't have set that goal, I wouldn't have drove over the last 3 to 4 months as hard as I have done. So yeah, I like that goal. It's not going to be achievable though, but we'll get close. And then from a birthday perspective, I'm going to buy a supercar by July, hopefully. So I don't know what supercar it'll be. I don't know what their options are, but I want to buy a supercar. Now, it's never been a thing where I've been like, I want one of these because I'm a petrol head, because I'm not a petrol head. But I'm also not a guy that has been ever exposed to the possibilities of actually having one of these things. And I think for me, it really exposed a weakness in my brain or my mindset around, do I deserve one of those? Or, why would you get one of those? And, if you've never desired it, why would you get one? And I think it taught me, or the confrontation in my own brain and the conversations I've had with myself about why I want one of these and getting one is actually a possibility, is that I think when you've come from a poorer background and then you get exposed to more finances, you almost still think like that poor person. You still scrimp and scrape, or you still shop at Aldi as opposed to Marks and Spencer. Even if you've got millions in the bank, you still buy some. Like, I have 1 or 2 really nice things. I have a Mont Blanc bag, I have a Mont Blanc pen, and I have a Balmain bag and a Longchamp bag, and that's my expenses. The rest of it is work related. Apple galore. And outside of that, t-shirts, I've got maybe 2 expensive t-shirts. One that was £120, which is relatively not that expensive after being exposed to what some other people pay, and a pair of shorts that was like 60 quid. And the rest of my stuff is ASOS, like vest. This vest I'm wearing now is £4, and I'll wear happily this. The flip-flops I got 3 years ago. So like my clothing and the things I spend money on is not that lavish. My apartment is a good one, and it's expensive, and that's what I spend my money on, and the travel side of things. But when I was looking at like, okay, well, I didn't even know it was a possibility, and I would definitely encourage you to like do this once in a while. Pick something that you couldn't even wildly dream of that you would love to buy, like wildly. Like for me, this whole buying a supercar. So I looked at a McLaren or a Lamborghini Huracan, and I did the maths. I did the maths on the finance. I did the maths on the reverse engineering, and I sat there and went, I literally said out loud, I was like, "Fuck me, this is possible." And because I'd never really done that maths on it, I'd never done the reverse engineering, I was like, wow, I'm not that far away. And I do it with all my clients with the targets for fat loss, and I do it for the targets for all of their goals. But I never did it with myself on something that was like wild like that, because I just thought it was impossible. It was like way out of my scope. Like I don't, yeah, I'm not. Nathan Johnson does not drive a supercar. Nathan Johnson doesn't have a Rolex. Nathan Johnson isn't, balling. But that's was a perspective of my own mindset. So I would definitely encourage you, if you are like in that mindset of like, you're wanting to have a nice thing, or you want to kind of have something lavish, but you're only blocked by your mindset, not your bank account. So no, if you haven't done the reverse engineer and you can factually say, nah, I can't afford it, or it's going to be 4 years until I do, or 10 years until I do, then maybe that's when you can say, no, I don't want that at this moment in time. But until you do that thing where you're like, oh shit, reverse engineer it, so it's this amount a month for this many months. Oh wow, okay, cool. That's a percentage of my earnings of that. Okay, and then you do that, and you're like, holy shit, it's a yes or a no. Whereas before, the getting the Lamborghini or the getting the McLaren was a no, even before I'd even looked, because I was like, I don't deserve one, or I'm not that type of person. But I think for me now, it represents that evolving nature of being able to step into a new perspective of what I can afford, but with the lifestyle I want to lead, and and tick it off the box. Like experiences are made to be lived, and from all the people that I know that have got supercars, they think they know it's an experience every time they sit in it. It's just an experience. And even my C class was something that I fucking loved driving. So we're gonna go and give that a go. And once I pay my blooming last UK tax bill, then we're gonna be operation reverse engineer and see what we can do. So if people listening to this, hold me accountable to that. And by July, you should see a McLaren or a Lambo on my stories, which would be amazing. And then we'll see what's next. But it's a very interesting time. It's been a reflective year on the business and stuff like that. And like I look back on some of my stories now, and it's been wild. It's been a wild year. Living out the back of my mum and dad's place, then moving into my own flat, then getting a dog, then getting rid of the dog and the missus, moving to Dubai, going to Miami for the summer, coming back to Ibiza, go back to the UK, back to Dubai again, and all done through this COVID time, which is it's been really, really difficult. I just have to that level of gratitude and a level of thanks and a reflection to see the hard work that's been put in. And it's things are really, really possible when you really push for it. And some people say you've done really, really well, and I until I do like podcasts like this, or I reflect on it, I don't really see it. Ultimately, anything is really possible if you really just drive towards it as best as you can. If someone said a year ago that you were in Dubai again and you're doing X, Y, and Z, considering a sports car, I'd bite your hand off immediately. But there was a series of events, there was a series of decisions that I made that got me to this point, that were really difficult decisions that a lot of people wouldn't do, because it carries too much weight. The getting rid of a dog or an ex-girlfriend, the moving completely across the world, the handing my notice in at the last job and deciding to start my own business. They were all massive decisions that I fucking shit myself over. And they all worked out absolutely perfectly, because in my heart, I knew that was the right thing to do. And I think things will always work out. So whether this was just ramblings or any use at all, but I think it was just a good update from where we're at. I'm super excited about the future with the team. They're just absolutely phenomenal. I love every single one of them. And also, I forgot to mention that we do have the three admin staff as well, and I want to give them a shout out because they may be listening to this. Lissetti, Ben, and Mary over in the Philippines are phenomenal. Like when I say that I've never met kinder, caring, hardworking individuals in my whole life, and specifically Lissetti, she keeps me afloat. Legitimately, if I didn't have her, I'd be a lot worse off. Like she takes the pressure off. She does a lot of jobs for me. She makes things work. She's one of these people that I say, hey, do you know how to do this? And she'll go, no, but I'll find out and I'll be doing exactly the task that you need me to do in 24 hours. And so many times I've been like, hey, Lisette, can you do this? And she's like, no, but in 24 hours, she knows how to do it. And I think that is such a useful task tool. And like, these people are incredible. And like, my business wouldn't be where it is today. And I wouldn't be where I am today without those three. And then also the team as well, like Declan and him have definitely kept me afloat over the last year. And hopefully I can repay them in efforts, kindness, and gratitude as well. So, these guys have been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm so lucky that I found Lissetti. It's so funny that I had a VA and it didn't work. And I had loads of applicants in for the job that I sent out. And randomly, I'm scrolling through my Instagram and she popped up and said, hey, Nathan, I know you're looking for a VA. Let me know. Left the message because I kind of found one before, had to fire her. And then basically 4 months later, I came back and said, hey, can we jump on a chat? I know that it's 4 months later, but do you want a job? I basically got on a call straight away and I knew she was right. She's like the most caring, bubbly, loving person. I started crying on the call when I gave her the job. Like, that's how caring she is. And every single week, I swear that she's crying because she's so happy. And now she's actually running her own VA business. So from working with me, she now works with a lot of people that I work with on the OTE, where she now helps her friends and her community get jobs in the virtual assistant world as well. So she's got like 25 friends, of family friends and friends of friends that are all doing the same stuff as her, who she's taught now to be this, these amazing virtual assistants, and they're just phenomenal. They're just worth their weight in gold. And she runs my life completely. So I got to big up her for sure. So anyway, that's enough rambling for today. So if you like this podcast, subscribe, send it, share it, download it, do what you need to. And we'll be back to the normal type of podcast next week with the clients and interesting guests, apart from just boring old me. Have a nice day, guys. Chat soon.